Shalom, Chag Sameach, and thank you for virtually welcoming me into your community. My name is Yochi Rappaport. I'm the Executive Director of Women of the Wall, the organization that I'm going to present a little bit about. Thank you, Rabbi, for this opportunity. Women of the Wall is a group of women from all denominations, Orthodox, Reform, Conservative, Reconstructionist, you name it. We gather together for 31 years now at the women's section of the Western Wall once a month, the beginning of the Hebrew month. And what do we do there? We pray. We pray and we demand that women too will be able to pray freely according to our tradition. And our goals, what we're fighting for, are four main things. The ability to pray out loud as a group of women with the talit, the tefillin, and the Torah scroll. So this is a unique talit of Women of the Wall, except for the fact that it's beautiful. It has the four mothers on it, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. And it has our motto printed on it. Hashmi'ini et kolech, ki kolech arev u'mar'ech naveh. It's by King Solomon the Wise. Let me hear your voice, because your voice is melodic and your face is pretty. So just think for yourself for a minute about the absurdity of our struggle. Israel was established 72 years ago for one reason only. That everyone, every Jew throughout the world will know that once they need a home away from home, they have Israel. That everyone can practice or not practice their Judaism according to their tradition. And here we are, a group of religious women for 31 years now, fighting for the ability to pray at the holiest site for the Jewish people, the Western Wall, the Kotel, the place that the people turned into a holy site and not God. And in order to understand the absurdity, what's the problem? Why do I have to fight for my ability to pray there? We have to understand that the Western Wall is run like the Vatican, a country inside a country. But unlike the Vatican, no one ever wanted the Western Wall to be its own country. 1967, after the paratroopers came and liberated or conquered the Western Wall and that whole area, so the government of Israel gave the keys of the Western Wall to the chief rabbinate in a religious, ultra-Orthodox institute that controls every religious aspect here in Israel. By controlling every religious aspect in Israel, they control every aspect of our lives here. Meaning that there's only one way to get married, chief rabbinate, only one way to divorce, chief rabbinate, only one way to convert, through them, and all of it is the ultra-Orthodox way. And that's exactly how they run the Western Wall, as an ultra-Orthodox synagogue. 31 years ago, by coincidence, a group of women came to the Western Wall and did something that never happened there before. They prayed out loud with the Torah scroll, and they faced physical and verbal violence against their service. And a group of women led by Anat Hoffman, who's our chair of board until today, understood that they have to do something about this. And they have to liberate the Western Wall again. So if in 1967, the Western Wall was liberated from the Jordanians, today, 2020, Women of the Wall are liberating the Western Wall from the hands of the ultra-Orthodox monopoly. So in 1988, the former rabbi of the Western Wall, who controls the place, saw that this group of women are coming to the wall month after month, and he said, I have to stop them. And since he has the ability to conduct new laws, he came up with a new regulation saying that one may not lead a religious ceremony that contradicts local custom and hurts the feelings of the worshippers. Religious ceremony is a tefillah, but what contradicts local custom? What is local custom at the wall? Who has the say of what's the tradition there? And the rabbi said, me. Because from 1967 to 1988, I owned the Western Wall. And even though he admitted that he knows that everything that Women of the Wall have been doing is not against the Orthodox halakha, the Orthodox law, it's against his custom. And it hurts the feelings of the worshippers, the men, the ultra-Orthodox monopoly there. Now, I want to emphasize for a minute about the word custom, because the rabbi said that he knows that everything we do is according to the Orthodox halacha. There are 7 commandments in the Jewish halacha and the Orthodox halacha that women don't have to fulfill. We call them the 7 time-bound commandments. Some of them are the shofar blowing, for example. Women don't have to hear the shofar blowing on Rosh Hashanah. Counting the Omer from Pesach to Shavuot. Torah studying, and talit and tefillin. Women do not have to fulfill these commandments. And the reason that sages gave us 2,000 years ago when they wrote the Talmud is that women are too busy and they're doing us a favor. Women are busy cleaning, cooking, taking care of the kids, taking care of the husband, anything but going out and earning a spiritual, a Jewish life. And as time went on, most women did not take upon themselves the commandments of talit and tefillin. So the custom was that women just don't pray that way with talit and tefillin. For example, most women do go on Rosh Hashanah to the synagogue to hear the shofar blowing, so it doesn't look weird to anyone. It doesn't look weird in the eyes of anyone that women hear the shofar blowing. But once they see women with the talit or the tefillin, that looks weird to them, and it's not their custom. And for many years, women were actually arrested at the Western Wall for praying out loud with the Jewish items and reading from the Torah scroll. Or in the words of the police, violating local peace at the Western Wall. We brought it upon ourselves. We brought all of the harassment, all of the opposition, all of the diaper throwing and the spitting and the kicking. It's our fault by wanting to pray in a different way. Another excuse that they come against us is kol be'isha erva. Men cannot hear women singing because their voice is sexual. And that takes us back to our motto. Because they took the word sexual, erva, from the word arev. Ki kolech arev, says King Solomon, meaning your voice is melodic. And sages turned it into sexual. They also said that a woman's hair is sexual, her elbows are sexual, etc. And because they can't hear her singing, we, women, cannot sing. If you look at the Talmud, one sage, it's one opinion that says that a woman's voice is sexual, other opinions say that it's not. And even when you look there, it says afterwards that it only relates during Kriyat Shema. There was a chief rabbi in Israel, a former chief rabbi, who said, I listen to women singing on the radio, I don't see them, and that makes it okay. In 2013, after so many women were arrested, the district court finally rules in our favor, saying that for 31 years we've been at the district court has finally ruled in our favor, saying that tradition or a custom is something that develops over time. And women of the Wall have brought a new tradition, a new custom to the Western Wall, a liberal custom, one that says that women too are able to practice their Judaism there. Another thing that happened in 2013 is that Jews all over the world pressured Prime Minister Netanyahu to find a solution. And for 3 years, we sat down for negotiations with the rabbi of the Western Wall, the 2 ultra-Orthodox parties at the Knesset. The Reform and Conservative movement were also part of this negotiation. And the solutions that was brought in front of us in 2016, January of 2016, was to renovate Robinson's Arch, the egalitarian section, the one that right now looks like a sun deck, we call it. It looks like a third-class plaza. Renovate it and let us run the place. The government voted over this agreement, an historical agreement. Finally, we're seeing a crack, a fraction of a crack, with the whole status quo of state and religion here in Israel. The same status quo that says that the monopoly over religion is the ultra-Orthodox monopoly. And the agreement passed. Unfortunately, what happened later was that the ultra-Orthodox community understood that we are winning. And if we earn an honorable place at the Western Wall, one that shows that we are first-class citizens, first-class Jews, and not third-class Jews that you throw to that plaza, they are losing their monopoly. And they will not allow that. So they went out, they demonstrated, and they pressured their two parties at the Knesset. They pressured Prime Minister Netanyahu, who had to understand, to think what's more important for him, his coalition or his power, or Jews all over the world, which he promised them this agreement. As we all know, this agreement fell because Netanyahu preferred his power. What we really want is that women will be able to pray freely at the women's section. But we understand compromises. But more than that, we want to bring a change to the world, to the Jewish world here in Israel. And we want the Western Wall, we want the symbol of the Jewish nation to reflect on Israel and say, Jews from all denominations, everyone is welcome here at the Western Wall and in Israel in general. That's why we were willing to move to Robinson's Arch. That's why we're continuing to fight over the Western Wall. If you have any questions, please contact us. We'll be more than happy to be in touch with you. If you want a Women of the Wall talit, please go on our website. You can purchase one. Hopefully, I'll be able to see you in person one day. Chag Sameach.